We're a hardware company, and building mil-spec hardware that works every time for the warfighter is hard. And that's why we're one of the few guys that can do it well.
This is Dan Magy, CEO of Firestorm, and this week on the Drone Wars podcast, we have Eric DeMarco, founder and CEO of Kratos Defense. This episode's going to be really awesome. He's a legend in San Diego defense companies, having been a C-suite executive at Titan. Before that, a company that sold to, I believe it was L3 Harris in the early 2000s. When I met Eric 10 years ago, Kratos was building a variety of interesting products, but then they struck gold by basically building the jet-powered target drone market overnight. The company 10 years ago was worth $400 million. Now it's worth $4.5 billion, and it's on a path to reach $10 billion probably in the next 5 to 6 years. Eric has a lot of very interesting takes, having built mil-spec hardware for decades, and I think you'll find his explanations of what's needed to hedge against countries like China enlightening. So enjoy the show. All right, Eric, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Eric's been a mentor for me for about a decade. We met 10 years ago when I demoed for Kratos a counter UAS systems in a tennis parking lot. His company's come a long way since then. So I'd like to kind of just let you tell us a little bit about who you are and your journey over the last, couple decades here.
Absolutely. So obviously, Eric DeMarco, I'm the founder and CEO of Kratos Defense. And when the team and I got together and decided to build the company, we were looking at strategic warfare, not asymmetric warfare with terrorists. And so this was with nation threats. And at that time, there was a lot going on with the supplementals relative to the OCI, the Overseas Contingency Budget, and fighting terrorism, and strategic assets in the areas of drones, command and control systems, satellite, space-based systems were not in vogue, and they were very reasonably valued. And so we decided to build a company that was a hardware specialist in strategic systems. And over the last several years, we've refined that to where we are today. There are no major changes coming, with our core competencies being unmanned jet aircraft, hypersonic systems, propulsion systems for high-performance systems, satellite and space-based communications, and air defense systems and missiles. In a nutshell, I like to say that we're a hardware company, and building mil-spec hardware that works every time for the warfighter is hard. And that's why we're one of the few guys that can do it well.
So I think that's something that is really important to touch on, right? How long did it take you guys to kind of put the processes in place where you can deliver a product every single time that works to the warfighter?
Yeah, it's as I think it takes a while. And people always talk about the financial learning curves. The more you build, you can build them more efficiently and make more money, et cetera, et cetera. But it's the intellectual capital of the team learning curve. And as I know you know, the top priorities of a CEO are setting the strategy, hiring the right people to do it, and putting the right incentive compensation plan in to incentivize them to do it. You have to keep those people in that structure or you lose that learning. So it takes several years, 5, 6, 7 years, where you can be comfortable that at rate you're building an affordable or low-cost product, mil-spec, that works every time.
Yeah. Talk to me about the team you've assembled over the last couple decades. Do you still have a number of folks around you who were there at the inception?
Great question. No one leaves Kratos. We have 6 divisions. The 6 division presidents are my 6 chief operating officers. They've all been with us since the inception in 2007 or a year or two thereafter. They don't leave. And I look at that as testimony of their patriots. The work we do is interesting, and that they're happy, and they're making money for themselves, their families, and for the stakeholders.
Well, you got to pat yourself on the back a little bit. They're probably hanging out because you're there too.
I would like to think that, but they're obviously great guys. And as I said up front, I am proud. No one leaves Kratos.
Yeah. And that's rare because I feel like every 5-10 years, people kind of jump ship in this industry. So it's definitely a testament to the company, the mission, and of course the leadership.
Thank you.
So you have 6 divisions, right? Is there one that excites you more than others? I know it's probably like picking a favorite kid, but
yeah, that's what my CFO, who's been with me forever, says. They're all your children. You love them all, which I do. Right now, the one I'm most excited about, because we just won the largest contract in our company's history.
Yep.
Relative to our hypersonic glide vehicles and our hypersonic propulsion systems, is our hypersonic franchise. I couldn't be prouder of this team. Literally 24 months, white piece of paper to a successful hypersonic glide vehicle flight for $13 million.
That is incredible. Talk about ROI.
Yes. And this is something that innovative companies like yours and Kratos and others know, is if we're investing our own money, which is part of our strategy, okay, we want to move fast because it's our own money. We want to get it done right, and we want to get it fielded.
Yeah.
And that's a force multiplier.
So a $1.5 billion contract, probably the potential to grow a little bit too. Is this kind of, we'll call it another one of those defining moments in the history of Kratos?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a defining moment. This is going to take us a step function up as soon as we have the 25 budget in place. So let's say fiscal calendar 26. And it's going to accelerate our already what I look at as high organic growth rates.
Yeah. So when I met you 10 years ago, I think the company's market cap was $400 million. And today it's probably 4.5. You probably know it to the cent. No, I'm just kidding. Another massive inflection point is when you guys started winning some of these target drone contracts, right? Talk a little bit about being a first mover into that space and then how you saw the opportunity and capitalized on it.
Yep. So as you're exactly right. When we met 10 years ago, we were in sequestration. The defense budget in 2015 went down to $485 billion. And a significant amount of that was focused on asymmetric warfare. And obviously the entire world has changed significantly. And as I mentioned up front, Kratos was built not for asymmetric warfare and fighting terrorism. We were built to take on China. And our systems and our processes and our hardware. And now that pendulum has swung, and that has been a primary driver in the demand for Kratos's products and systems.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, the decline of the industrial base is real and it's acute. And we need more companies like yours. We need more companies like us. And the establishment will be foolish if they make bets on 1 or 2 or 3 guys. That will be foolish because they're all not going to be successful, and we're going to need more than that if we're going to be a credible deterrent to the threats we face.
It's interesting. Like, you're starting to see things like Freedom Forge 2.0 coming out of DARPA, right? And that book and that story from World War II, right? Where you had basically dozens of large manufacturers and then hundreds and thousands of smaller manufacturers all rowing the boat in the same direction. Obviously with the consolidation of, into the prime structure we have today, obviously we know it's a disadvantage, but how do we kind of climb our way out of it, in your opinion?
There needs to be a change congressionally. And I totally get it. No one ever got fired, an old cliche of hiring IBM.
Right.
Okay. So we need to move away from being so risk averse and taking some risk and funding production contracts to some new guys, new companies. We have lots of Kratosisms. One of Kratos's Kratosisms, better is the enemy of good enough. And if these new companies of Kratos, if your company We have products that can be fielded today that are ready to go, that are basically better than anybody else's in the world. That last 10% of capability typically takes 80% more money.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we want quantities and we want to reinvigorate the industrial base and get more competition, we got to get some wins out there on the scoreboard with the new guys.
And, we talk sometimes in the space about quantity having a quality of its own. How important is that going to be in the next fight?
It's going to be invaluable. So obviously that was Stalin, and that's when he put 25 to 30 T-34s up against a Tiger. When the Tiger would take out 29 of them, they'd be out of ammunition, and the T-34 would win. Well, here we are.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it in the Ukraine, and we better be ready for it in Indo-PACOM.
Yeah.
Quantities are invaluable.
Drone Wars is recorded from Firestorm's global headquarters in San Diego, California. Each episode is filmed inside our X-Cell, a modular industrial-grade manufacturing facility designed to be deployed anywhere in the world within 24 hours for on-demand drone production. Each week on the podcast, we bring you cutting-edge insights from unmanned industry leaders. Listen as they share the breakthroughs and technologies they're working on, the hard lessons they've learned, and the bold predictions about what the next 5 to 10 years in unmanned systems and advanced manufacturing have in store for us. Enjoying the show so far? Then be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now back to the show. Let's talk about, you and I have to go to Capitol Hill a lot.
Yes.
I think about a year ago, I would hear this idea of the 6-day problem. We would run out of systems in a conflict, in a near-peer conflict with China or a conflict in the Taiwanese Strait in 6 days. Last time I was in DC, maybe a month ago, I'm now being told it's a 6-hour problem, right? Do you think that Congress is starting to truly wake up to just how much of a threat this really is?
I know multiple members of Congress and Senate that I know, that I work with, that I speak with, including last week. They absolutely get it. Mm-hmm. And they know. The issue is that there are multiple others that for whatever reason, I don't think appreciate this. Mm-hmm. But this is what you just said, it's real. I don't know if it's 6 hours, 8 hours, or 6 days, but it's short. Mm-hmm. And this is why we need to field quantities of capability. Mm-hmm. And on a 10 scale, maybe it's not a 10, but it's an 8.
Sure.
And it's better than theirs. And let's say it's a $100,000 Firestorm drone. Let's say it's a $200,000 Firestorm drone. Great. Let's have them shoot $3, $4, and $5 million Chinese missiles at them. Let's do that all day long.
Bleed them dry.
Right?
Yep.
And then let's send in the exquisite stuff.
Yep.
It's obviously I don't have access to all the information, but this is just obvious. That's what we should do.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. And you can just look at the Houthis, what they've been able to do, shooting down, the GA birds, but also just like putting so much stuff in the air and forcing us to use exquisite systems to knock down $50,000 to $200,000 drones, right?
Yeah, with multi-million-dollar SM3s and SM6s, yeah, which we have to do because it's all we have.
Yep.
And which has depleted some of our very scarce resources already, which now we're trying to get. Exactly. So what you and I are chatting about, I do believe, I know it's registering with the number of Congress people I meet with, mm-hmm. and I'm hoping that it's going to register with more and more, because we've got to do this if we want to preserve our way of life.
Absolutely. And I think you would hope at least that is the North Star for everybody on Capitol Hill, and that they're being read into just how dramatic the production problems we now face in our country are because of the consolidation and the focusing of giving contracts to just, smaller, a couple firms as opposed to everybody.
Yeah.
Or more people.
Yeah. Like I, exactly. Very, very similar to what I said a few minutes ago. We need to have 10 or 15 guys making drones, mm-hmm. 10 or 15 guys making propulsion systems, not 2 or 3. The 2 or 3 are not all going to be successful. They're just not. That's just business. So we don't have the luxury of making bets on 2 or 3 and having 2 of the 3 fail or not be up to snuff or not be able to hit the quantities, and then the game begins.
Mm-hmm. So let's take a step back and let's talk a little bit about some of the platforms that you guys build, right? Specifically on the unmanned side. Walk us through some of your platforms.
Yep. So in 2015, we are the first company that I'm aware of that actually flew high-performance jet unmanned drone fighters with manned aircraft. And that's our Mako, and that's on YouTube. If you can go see it, where manned fighters missionized and sent our planes out to do stuff. In 2016, we were awarded a contract for the Valkyrie. It flew 30 months later in 2019, and now it's making incredible progress with the United States Marine Corps. We have derivatives of our target drones. Airwolf Tactical Drone is a derivative of our Fire Jet target drone.
Mm-hmm.
That's under contract with a government customer. We have Apollo, Athena, a lot of Greek names here,
Yep.
and Thanatos, all of which are flying today. I'm the CEO. Of course, I drink the Kool-Aid, but I believe that we are the or one of the world leaders in high-performance jet aircraft. $10 million, $5 million, $3 million, and the Airwolf is $500,000.
And so when you're building these and you're thinking about production and scale, right? Are there some guiding principles that you design? Is it modularity? Is it, like you were saying, get 80% of it done and then the last 20%, if it costs more, so be it?
Yep. So one of our guiding principles is we are the world leader in high-performance jet target drones. Mm-hmm. We're the primary provider to the United States Air Force, the Navy, and the Army. So a guiding principle is that the bill of materials, the qualified mil-spec supply chain, 90%, I'm making that up, but I'm close, of that supply chain for target drones is the exact same for the tactical drones. And since we're making several hundred target drones a year, we can lever off those quantities, which drives the cost down even more. Mm-hmm. We're all about low cost. Back to what you said at the beginning, quantities have a quality all of their own. Mm-hmm. Guiding principle, dual use, to make sure we get leverage off the quantities.
Yeah. Talk about how important modularity is in these platforms.
Yeah. Modularity is invaluable. Let's take a look on electronic warfare systems, electronic attack systems, ISR systems. Being able to take out a module, plug it in, unplug it is invaluable. I believe that modularity should move to engines. Mm-hmm. It should move to payloads. Mm-hmm. It should move to being able to plug and play, which will drive things down even more.
Yeah. And so you guys build your platform, you build baseline capabilities, right? How important is it that you turn your platforms into kind of mini ecosystems so you can put a variety of different things on it?
In the tactical area, it's very, very, it's a prerequisite mm-hmm. that we be able to do that. And again, it has to do with cost. You can't have bespoke systems that are one-offs or two-offs because you can't get the quantities to drive the cost down back to quantity as a quality all of its own. Mm-hmm. And so it has been important, but it is becoming more and more important. It's becoming imperative that we build that into all of our systems as far as an ecosystem mm-hmm. that can not only sustain its stuff, but is constantly reducing cost.
Are you hearing that be kind of a requirement now from customers? Have you seen that change at all, or are they still kind of lagging behind?
Better is the enemy of good enough. And I love engineers, love them. We have the most brilliant ones in the world in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of engineers always see, I can make that a little bit better. And they can. But taking that 90% qualified system and getting it to 95 takes 80% more cost. Mm-hmm. And that institutionalized is the wrong word, but we've done it for so many decades in this country. Mm-hmm. We have to change that. Mm-hmm. We got to get stuff field it, not just keep tweaking it to make it a little bit better.
Yeah. Do you think that what we see with the use of, and I mean, mind you, there's smaller quadcopters in Ukraine and Russia, and then the massive numbers of Shahed drones Iran has been producing. Do you think Western Europe and the US, actually fundamentally understands what's coming? Or is it like, hey, that's over there, this isn't our problem?
I think for the most part, we see it, but it's not registering. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
These fiber optic powered drones that are not jammable by EW and EA, they're impressive, and we better be paying attention to this as a country. Very low cost, fiber optic the size of a fly fishing line. Can't jam it, 40-pound warhead. How do you stop it? That is something that has got my attention. It's hard to get my attention. That's got my attention. Because the only way to take that down is kinetic. And if it's a $22,000 drone, how do you defeat that cost algorithm? So I'm hoping we're taking note of that and some other things, especially as it relates to the Taiwan Strait.
Thanks for listening to the Drone Wars podcast. Each week, we bring you fascinating conversations with leaders shaping the future of air, sea, land, and space technologies. Catch new episodes every Tuesday wherever podcasts can be found. Until then, we'll see you next time.